It was 5 a.m. when Maria Brooks stepped off the early city bus. The sky still dark, the campus of Hawthorne Arts College cloaked in mist. The old canvas bag slung over her shoulder bumped softly against her side as she walked through the service entrance, her footsteps echoing faintly in the stillness. She moved with the quiet efficiency of someone used to being unnoticed. Maria wasn't a student. She wasn't faculty. She didn't belong to the world of glowing spotlights, thunderous applause, or the shimmering notes that floated from the practice halls each day. She was the kitchen assistant, the woman who prepped eggs, refilled the oatmeal bar, wiped down the mess left behind by future stars of stage and screen. And she did it without complaint, without a trace of resentment, at least not one anyone ever saw. By 6 a.m., the dining hall lights flickered on, revealing polished wood floors and high-arched ceilings. Maria stood at the industrial sink, sleeves rolled up, her hands submerged in warm, soapy water. The smell of brewing coffee filled the air. Bacon sizzled on the griddle behind her. Soon, the place would be alive with chatter and laughter, but for now, she had these few quiet moments to herself. She always cherished them. At lunch, Maria sat alone at the corner table reserved for staff. Though no one ever told her she had to sit there, the unspoken lines were clear. Occasionally, Mr. Harold from security would nod at her in passing, or Mrs. Fields, the janitor, would stop for a quick word about the weather. They were the only ones who truly saw her. Everyone else, faculty, students, visiting alumni, they walked past Maria as if she were part of the wallpaper. They spoke over her, around her, through her, until they needed something. Miss, we're out of almond milk. Hey, you, kitchen lady. This is cold. Fix it. She'd grown used to it. Or at least, she told herself she had. That afternoon, the hall buzzed with more energy than usual. Flyers littered the walls. Hawthorne vocal showcase auditions. One night only. Scholarships. Spotlight. Fame. Maria didn't need to read the fine print to know what it meant. She'd seen it happen every year. The way the students primped and postured, how the competition brought out their rawest, most ambitious selves. All for a chance to be heard. She passed by the open doors of the main rehearsal room on her way to deliver trays to the back kitchen. Inside, voices soared. Some strong, some shaky, some full of that bright, trembling hope only the young seemed to have. She paused just long enough to listen, her hands still gripping the tray cart. Then came the voice she recognized. "Oh my God," came a sharp, theatrical laugh. "Is that grease on your apron again? What are you, allergic to clean clothes?" Maria turned, startled, just in time to see Brittany Crane standing behind her, tall, blonde, and flanked by two perfectly curated friends. Brittany, the daughter of one of the college's wealthiest donors, was known for three things: her diamond-studded phone case, her ruthless gossip, and her effortless soprano range. Seriously, Brittany said louder now, clearly performing for her entourage. "If you're going to work in our dining hall, at least try not to look like you crawled out of a dumpster. We have standards, you know." Laughter followed. Maria didn't respond. She never did. She simply turned away, heart pounding, fingers tightening around the tray handles. But as she pushed the cart down the corridor, she passed another room where a young man was rehearsing his audition piece. It was a classic, Ave Maria, piano accompaniment echoing through the hall. Maria's steps slowed. Her lips moved soundlessly. Her mind filled in the notes where he faltered, instinctively adjusting his pitch, shaping the phrasing the way she once had, long ago, before life had made other plans. She kept walking, but the music stayed with her. Maria closed the door to her apartment and leaned against it for a moment, exhaling. The scent of old wood, lavender floor cleaner, and quiet loneliness met her like it always did. She slipped off her shoes and made her way through the small space, humming under her breath. Not a song exactly, just notes, barely audible, like memories drifting through her chest. Her apartment was simple, a hand-me-down couch, a tiny kitchen with chipped tiles, a window that overlooked a brick wall. But in the far corner of the living room, next to a shelf of second-hand books and neatly folded linens, sat her most treasured thing, a vintage gramophone. It didn't look like much. The horn was dented. The wood was scratched. But Maria kept it polished like it was gold. She turned the crank, carefully lowered the needle, and let the record spin. A soft, crackling piano tune filled the room. She didn't need lyrics. The music was enough. Next to it lay a worn music notebook. The corners were curled, the cover faded, but inside were lines of sheet music written by hand, lyrics scribbled in blue ink, and tiny stars doodled in the margins. No one had seen it but her, and no one ever would. Once, music had been everything. There was a time when Maria couldn't walk through a day without singing. She sang while folding laundry, while waiting for the kettle to boil, even in the rain on her way to work. Singing wasn't something she did, it was who she was. But life doesn't always make room for dreams. Sometimes, life is about holding things together, about showing up, about surviving. And Maria had done that. She'd taken jobs, paid rent, cared for her family. Bit by bit, she had folded her dreams up like an old dress and placed them in a drawer. She told herself it was fine, that everyone had something they let go of, that this quiet, simple life was enough. But tonight, as the music played and she traced her fingers over the notebook, something tugged at her. A faint ache, a longing she hadn't let herself feel in years. That morning, at the college, she'd heard students talking about the upcoming vocal showcase. It was all anyone in the music department seemed to care about: auditions, rehearsals, gossip about who was performing what. She'd paused by the open door of a practice room while sweeping the floor and listened. A girl with pink hair had been belting out a Broadway number, off-key but confident. Maria hadn't meant to stop, but she did, just for a moment. Something had stirred inside her. Not jealousy, not bitterness, just a feeling she thought had gone quiet long ago. Of course, no one would ever ask her to sing. No one at the college even knew she could. To them, she was just the lunch lady, the woman who restocked the salt packets and cleaned the spill no one admitted to. They didn't see anything else. And maybe that was for the best. But here, in her tiny apartment, with music filling the silence and the soft glow of the lamp washing over her old notebook, Maria allowed herself one small moment. She sang, softly, just a verse, just enough to remember. And the voice was still there. Tired, maybe, rusty, but still hers. She closed the notebook gently and smiled. Not with joy, exactly, but with something like quiet defiance. The world may have forgotten who she was, but she hadn't. Not completely. Not yet. The evening before the college's much-anticipated gala showcase was buzzing with excitement. The auditorium, usually quiet and echoing, had turned into a whirlwind of stage lights, sound checks, glittering dresses, and over-caffeinated vocalists running their scales one last time. Backstage, the energy was electric. Students paced nervously, fussing over their sheet music and vocal warm-ups. Professors discussed final selections in hushed tones, and someone kept adjusting the mic stand over and over again, as if perfection would guarantee applause. Maria was just finishing up wiping down tables in the backstage lounge when she heard her name. Maria, a sharp, sugar-sweet voice called out. She turned, already sensing trouble. Brittany Crane, tall, blonde, flawless makeup even under stage lights. A student of the arts, daughter of the college's largest donor, and the unofficial queen of every hallway she walked down. Maria gave a polite nod. Yes. Brittany strutted toward her, flanked by a few of her usual followers, all laughing at something Maria hadn't heard. We were just talking, Brittany said, placing a hand dramatically on her chest, about how we never give enough credit to the real talent around here. Maria frowned slightly. I just clean the... No. You work here, but maybe you have something else to offer? Her voice was syrupy with mock sincerity. Like a hidden gift. A voice. I mean, everyone deserves a chance, right? Maria felt her stomach twist. That's kind of you, but I'm not. Oh, come on. Brittany interrupted, loud enough for others to turn. It's just for fun. One little song. We'll let you rehearse on stage. Think of it as a tribute to all the hard-working staff. A feel-good moment. Maybe even post it to the college's Instagram. There were a few scattered claps and a forced cheer. Maria glanced around. Eyes were on her now. Curious. Amused. Expectant. No one was taking this seriously. I really shouldn't, she said quietly, already edging toward the hallway. This is your night. Brittany's voice dropped, still smiling but suddenly colder. Are you sure? I mean, I could mention to Mr. Hallbrook that you were kind of rude when asked to help with the event. You wouldn't want to seem uncooperative, would you? It's a tight budget year. They're already cutting staff. The words hit like a slap. There it was, the real threat, hidden under the glitter. Maria froze. She had rent to pay. No one else would care what really happened. Her throat tightened, not from nerves, but from the ache of powerlessness. She walked toward the stage. Great, Brittany chirped. Let's give it up for Maria, the cafeteria queen. Show us what you got. The auditorium lights were harsh. Maria stood center stage, unsure where to look. Students laughed. A phone was already recording. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" She could hear the sarcasm in the applause, slow, mocking, theatrical. One student even did a fake standing ovation, nudging his friend. Her hands trembled slightly. Her mouth felt dry, but she stood there, rooted, waiting for the joke to end. Only no one was stopping it. The room wasn't full, just a cluster of students lingering after rehearsal, a couple of tech crew guys adjusting cables, and one or two professors chatting near the exit. But to Maria, it might as well have been a stadium. Her hands were damp, her throat tight, her heartbeat drumming like a warning. She stood in the center of the stage, under lights not meant for her. From the corner of her eye, she saw Brittany, perched at the edge of the front row like a queen awaiting a jester's performance. Her smile was smug, ready to cackle. A phone was still recording. Another student held up a drink as if to toast the spectacle. Maria closed her eyes. The laughter faded. The whispers blurred. And something inside her, something long buried and quiet, opened. Her lips parted. And she sang, O mio babino caro. The first note floated through the room, clear as glass, delicate but strong, like silk stretched across time. The Italian words melted into the air, effortless, heart-worn. Her voice carried warmth, longing, pain, and beauty, all in one breath. People froze. Someone near the door stopped mid-sentence, jaw hanging. The technician by the spotlight slowly turned his head. One of the music professors blinked, then leaned forward, almost comically, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Maria didn't notice. She wasn't singing for them. She was singing from somewhere else entirely, a place of memory, of dreams left behind, of kitchens filled with music and rooms lit by longing. Every vowel glided like a note she'd never forgotten. Every breath knew where to fall. The acoustics of the auditorium did the rest, bouncing her voice off the high beams and polished wood, wrapping it around every listener like a secret. When she hit the high note, soft, soaring, heartbreaking, the silence in the room was so complete it was holy. No one laughed. No one spoke. Phones were lowered. Even Brittany's smirk had vanished, replaced by confusion and something bordering fear. As Maria sang the final words, her voice faded like a kiss goodbye. Then, silence. Real silence. Thick. Reverent. A second passed. Then another. And finally, someone exhaled. Holy SH, a student whispered. A single clap broke the stillness, hesitant, stunned. Then another. And then the room erupted. Not with laughter. With thunderous, stunned applause. A music professor pulled out his phone, quickly scrolling through contacts. Did you know? Someone whispered to Brittany. whose face was pale now. It was a moment, and it belonged to Maria. By morning, the video had spread like wildfire. It wasn't meant to. Someone had uploaded it to a student group chat with a laughing emoji and the caption, "When the lunch lady sings better than the whole damn department." Within hours, it leaked to public stories, reshared, reposted, and stitched with reactions ranging from stunned silence to full-blown emotional breakdowns. Who is she? Why isn't she famous? This is actual opera, like Goosebumps real. Brittany looks like she saw a ghost. The footage showed Maria in a simple gray cardigan, eyes closed, bathed in the soft light of the stage. Her voice, rich, controlled, devastatingly pure, poured out like she'd been waiting her whole life for that one breath. Somewhere across campus, the dean of the music faculty, Professor Arthur Langston, opened an email from a fellow conductor titled, "You need to see this immediately." He clicked the link, sat back, watched, and then he stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. Within the hour, the entire vocal department was buzzing. At lunch, 3 senior instructors huddled around a phone in the faculty lounge. "That's bel canto technique," muttered Professor Gaines, his brow furrowed. "Not amateur. That's trained. Conservatory level. Maybe even European. She has better phrasing than half my advanced class," added Professor Lee. "Listen to how she breathes into the note instead of chasing it. That's instinct and discipline. She reminds me of Morella Freni," someone said quietly. "Or maybe a young Angela George." Later that day, they found her, in the kitchen, scrubbing baking trays. Maria didn't hear them come in. She was humming. The same aria. Softer now, almost like a memory. "Excuse me," said a calm, clear voice. She turned around, flustered. 3 men in suits, one holding a folder, the other his phone, and the last, Dean Langston, with an expression halfway between awe and apology. "We'd like to speak with you. About last night." In the interview room, Maria sat stiffly, her hands folded in her lap. She wasn't used to answering questions. She was used to being the one who served water while others spoke. But now the spotlight was on her, and it was real. "I sang when I was young," she said quietly. "Nothing formal. Local events. My mother was ill. I stayed. I never left." They asked more, about her past, her dreams, the way she learned to sing. Maria kept it simple, honest. She didn't dramatize it. That wasn't her style. "I don't really sing anymore," she finished. "That voice, it's just something I keep in a box." Dean Langston looked at her carefully. "I'd like you to open that box again." She blinked. "We want you to sing at the final gala concert this weekend. As a guest. As a revelation." The idea felt absurd. Unreal. Maria shook her head, gently. "I don't belong on that stage. I don't belong in your world." "But you are that world," said one of the vocal coaches. "You just left it behind." She said nothing, but something flickered in her eyes. Fear. Hope. Longing. "I need to think," she whispered. The gala hall sparkled like a cathedral. Crystal chandeliers bathed the marble floors in golden light. The rows of velvet chairs were packed. Donors in sleek suits, trustees in pearls, professors with tight smiles and flutes of champagne. Journalists whispered predictions. Socialites scrolled through their feeds, waiting for something or someone to impress them. Backstage, students in black tie and silk gowns buzzed with nerves. It was the final performance of the year, a celebration of talent, wealth, prestige, everything that made the Academy shine. And tonight, there was a surprise guest. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is it a celebrity? Some prodigy from Europe? I heard it's someone unbelievable." Brittany Crane sat front and center, her lips painted the color of power. She smiled like she knew the secrets, but even she didn't know what was coming. Dean Langston stepped onto the stage. The lights dimmed. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began. "Tonight we end this academic year not just with talent, but with truth." A hush fell over the room. Sometimes, greatness hides in plain sight. Sometimes, the purest voice doesn't come from rehearsal halls, but from forgotten corners. Kitchens, storerooms, lives we don't notice. A pause. Our special guest reminded us that real talent isn't polished. It's raw, it's lived, it's brave. Please welcome Maria Flores. The audience froze. For a beat, no one moved. Then the spotlight shifted, and Maria walked out. She wore a simple navy dress, modest, neat, ironed to perfection. No sequins, no glitter, just her. There was a ripple through the room. A few gasps, whispers. That's the cleaning lady? No, the cook. What is this? Maria stood still. Not on linoleum, not behind a tray of food, but on a stage. A real stage. The heat of the lights touched her skin like memory. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She closed her eyes. And she sang. This time, it wasn't just a song. It was everything she had never said. Every early morning she had scrubbed in silence. Every moment she had been invisible. Every dream folded away in a drawer because someone else needed her more. Her voice rose, full, shimmering, unafraid. It cut through the air like light through glass. The hall, filled with people who had heard the finest singers money could buy, fell silent. Even Brittany forgot to blink. A tear rolled down a donor's cheek. A professor gripped the edge of her seat. Phones dropped, untouched, in laps. This wasn't a novelty act. This was a reckoning. When the final note rang out, clear, high, heartbreakingly beautiful, there was no pause. The room erupted. Applause thundered from every direction. People leapt to their feet. Some shouted. Some cried. The ovation didn't stop. Maria opened her eyes. And for the first time in years, she saw faces that really saw her. Not as a servant, not as background noise, but as an artist, as someone unforgettable. 3 months had passed since that unforgettable evening when Maria's voice had captivated the academy and changed her life. Now, her world felt different. She sat in a small classroom with a group of students, young talents from rural areas who had been brought in for a special program designed to nurture promising voices. The classroom was quiet, bathed in the soft light streaming through the windows, and there was a calm, focused energy in the air. Maria was no longer the invisible woman behind the scenes. Now, she was a teacher, a mentor, and most importantly, someone who was valued. The students listened intently as she guided them through a vocal exercise, her voice calm, yet authoritative. She moved effortlessly between explanations, demonstrating techniques, and offering encouragement. The same passion that had once driven her to sing now flowed into teaching, igniting a new purpose. She wasn't just passing on knowledge. She was empowering these students to believe in their own potential, just as she had to rediscover hers. In the hallway outside the classroom, a local reporter was waiting for an interview. The college had been buzzing about her ever since that night, and the local newspaper had picked up on her remarkable story. Maria hadn't expected it, but she agreed to meet. The reporter asked her questions about the gala, about her journey from working in the kitchen to performing on stage, and about her future plans. Maria smiled, but there was a hint of humility in her voice as she spoke. "I'm just doing what I love now. It's not about the spotlight," she said. "It's about helping others find their voice, just like I did." Later, in the local paper, an article was published with a picture of Maria surrounded by her new students. Their smiles were wide and genuine, their eyes full of hope for what lay ahead. The headline read, "Maria's New Stage, From Kitchen to Classroom, a Talent Rediscovered." Back at the academy, things had changed. No longer was Maria subjected to the dismissive glances and cruel jokes. Instead, she was respected, even admired. Her colleagues, who had once overlooked her, now sought her opinion. Professors asked her about her technique, students looked up to her, and her contributions were celebrated. The light she had once feared to step into had become her own. One afternoon, as Maria watched her students practice, she thought back to that moment on the stage, when she had dared to sing again after so many years of silence. The fear had been overwhelming, but the reward had been beyond anything she had imagined. She smiled, watching the young voices around her, thinking to herself, this is what it's all about. Not the applause, not the fame, but the gift of sharing what you love. Her eyes lingered on a young girl who had just started her training. The girl was quiet, humble, and full of potential. Maria saw so much of herself in her. She leaned forward, offering a few words of advice, and the girl's face lit up with gratitude. In the final moments of the story, Maria looked out at her students, feeling a sense of peace that had eluded her for years. The applause from that unforgettable night seemed a distant memory now, but it had led her here, back to where it all began. Maria understood now that true music wasn't about being on stage or in the spotlight. It was about the heart, about the courage to speak your truth, even when the world doesn't notice. She had found her voice again, and in doing so, she had helped others find theirs. True music begins not on the stage, but in the heart that dares to sing. Please rate the story on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know, what do you think? Your support means the world, and we can't wait to bring you more incredible stories like this.